Guys, this is podcast. This is a long one in the making. This has been, the actual executive producer, which is basically you, because everyone's been asking. We know your mom very well. Never met Dad, so this is the final one before I leave for North Carolina. I think I'm
Quite
gonna
an
do
honor.
I think I'm gonna do yours before after Mr. Greta's. So.
Oh, I'm the final?
So you're the final one in this podcast studio that you put together, technically, financially.
Oh, I thought you meant I just put the chair. I thought you mean I just set up the table for you.
Yeah, but yeah, the little things, Father, the little things.
I thought I hooked up one of these microphones.
Let's see, what do you pay for? Let's see, Christmas presents, Wi-Fi.
That's how it works. I'm glad I can.
All right. So as I said, everyone knows Mom's story because Mom's on the podcast many times, but I kind of want to do the same thing that I did with Mr. Greta and Grandma when she was on. Start from the beginning, Father. I'm more interested in the jobs because we were kind of going through it with Papa when I saw Papa, who hopefully one day will do the podcast. But he was telling me some of the jobs you had, and some were coming back to mind yesterday when I was talking to Mr. Greta. Give me the whole, like, when you started, first job, all the way to up until the AT&T. We don't have to talk about your new stuff, but
all right. Yeah, we can go there. I started working when I was 13.
I'm just gonna move that a little bit forward. You can stay where you are now.
I started when I was working 13. And when at age 13, there was a butcher shop and a ice cream store kind of combo. Not combo, they were split. And my sisters worked at the ice cream store. And the owner of the facility owned both the ice cream and the butcher.
Kind of like how they do with the Baskin Robbins and Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah,
now?
Something like that. Yeah, ahead of its time, but butcher and ice cream.
Yeah, totally go. It's kind of a bad combo.
It was pretty gross. Yeah, so we didn't. You come in all bloody. You'd have meat in my vanilla. You'd have you'd have one of those smocks on with all the blood from the animals. And so obviously it was really robbing.
Real fast. Where was this? Like what?
Okay, Mohegan Lake. It was right down the hill from where we lived. As you know, we lived at the top, right at the bottom, and school was in between there, right. Where I went.
So my father. Let's go back a little bit for our viewers because they know Mom's from Lake George. You're from Westchester, New York.
Yeah, northern Westchester. It's called. Yeah.
So what's the name of the mountain?
Well, it's Mohegan, right? So it's Mohegan Lake. And there's just a mountain on Mohegan Lake that we lived at the top of. Right?
Gotcha. And the butcher shop was at the bottom of that.
Pretty much at the bottom, right? Gotcha. So it was walkable. Working at 13, at the time, a lot of people waited till they were 16. People didn't hire you. Yeah. But because of the family ties, Robin was already working there. I think Dee was as well. They said, sure, I could work too. So it was Tony and Ursula Torrenti, their name were.
Of course, it's Italian.
Oh, funny guy. To work at a butcher shop, it's freezing because you're in the ice box. Yeah. That guy, I don't know if his blood pressure was through the roof or what, but he's like, feel my hands. His hands would be piping hot, and we'd be in a freezing freezer.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think he passed away. He's long gone now, but
no kids in the company either.
He had all girls, so they more worked on the ice cream side, and they helped out at the counter and those type of things. But,
yeah, that's an interesting combo. So when did you stop there?
Yeah, I hit that pretty hard for, probably till I was about 17, 18. And I would just work on the weekends once I got into sports and those type of things. Yeah. But that allowed me to earn money. I had my car. Remember, I had that Firebird. I was. We have
a couple car viewers, so you gotta tell them. I'm terrible.
Yeah,
with cars.
One of those black Firebirds that really ahead of my time. So it was a '77 Firebird. So it kind of looked like without the eagle and all that, it was a Trans Am looking like Burt Reynolds. Kind of like that, but just take all the eagle off the hood and the gold stuff. So it was definitely a hot car for its time, especially somebody who was about 16.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Oh, and then I stopped. When I stopped that, I started working with Uncle Sal and my cousins.
So Uncle Sal is my grandfather's brother.
Correct. So Sal Catucci, and very successful individual. He owned a trucking company in Brooklyn. So I don't know what hour we'd get up, 5 a.m, and we'd all go to Uncle Sal's with our cousins. We'd get into a Thunderbird.
This was after or during the same time, kind of overlapping with the butcher shop?
No, I was probably, I did a little lifeguarding at that lake as well. Gotcha. Then Uncle Sal Uncle Bill was doing it first, and then
My dad's brother.
Yeah, when I got into that age, he said, "Hey, you want to do it too?" It was crazy money. They had crazy money. Yeah. They would give us $300 cash. For me, I was like, "Oh man!" Back then, you got to understand the time.
Yeah. Holy shit!
It was a lot of money.
Yeah, wow.
Right, and so, but it was all day because we left at 5 a.m, met our cousins, and 6 of us crammed into a Thunderbird and went down from Westchester all the way to Brooklyn. So you got to drive through Manhattan, down the Westchester, the West Side Highway at the time, which was even a mess.
What exactly were you doing at this job? Just moving?
Oh, you were loading and unloading trucks.
Oh,
right. And a lot of it was manual, some of it was forklifts, and some funny stories back then about those forklifts. I remember if you ever go to Home Depot, you ever see the stuff on the high racks, right? Yeah. You'd have a forklift, and you'd have to get up there and take it off or put it on the racks. And every once in a while you missed, and stuff would just go fly. So, it's good to be the uncle's son.
Yeah. Was there a lot? Was it all family? I'm sure that there wasn't just family, but like from the, I guess I don't want to call it grunt work, but is it just?
Oh no, it was a huge facility, and there was all kinds of truckers and loaders and forklift guys. I mean, kind of.
So how many
ex-cons and all that?
Yeah, how many
all
total employees would you say? I've always.
It's probably like 50 at that place.
Okay,
I would say easy 50. So nice guys, some real interesting characters back then.
Yeah.
So.
Nowadays, you wouldn't keep your kids by those people.
Yeah, exactly. Come to think about it, you wouldn't want those guys. A lot of prison, the whole deal.
Yeah.
But after that, let me think about it.
So we're 16, 17 right now?
No, yeah. 16, 17? Yeah, probably 17, 18.
Still in high school.
Yeah, still in high school. A lot of money. Then in college, I was Pinkerton's finest. You ever hear that expression?
I don't even know what that is.
Pinkerton was a huge, I don't even exist anymore, security company.
Oh, I brought this up to Mr. Greta yesterday. I didn't realize that that's what it was called.
Pinkerton's finest, yeah. And so I worked in, during college, my sophomore year, I think it was, or I think it might have been my junior year. I worked a 4 to midnight shift, Monday through Friday, in Connecticut. So from Fordham University, I would drive at night. At 4 o'clock, I'd get to the place, and it was like a 2-story IBM building. And I had the whole building by myself, and helped me study,
So real fast, you went to Fordham University. Mom did too.
Yep.
Why'd you go to Fordham, Dad? Just because of the legacy that we had?
Yeah,
there,
kind of legacy. Yeah. I didn't care that much. I think my sisters probably wanted to go. I think my brother and I were kind of like, "Hey, Dad, sure, you want us to go? We'll go. You're paying."
Let me pause you real fast.
Yeah.
So my father is the youngest of 5.
Good.
Legacy-wise, I don't even know everyone that went in, but your father, and then...
That was it, on my side.
Oh, really? Okay. For some reason, I thought, I know Sal and Ronnie didn't go to...
Yeah, my dad was the first one to graduate from college, right. So obviously had a good year. Good time at Fordham, or it was very successful at Fordham, and he wanted us to go. He was paying, so it really didn't matter. You remember when you were, thinking about colleges back then? I was like, wherever you want me to go, Dad.
Well, college was a lot cheaper.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So
exactly.
I remember when Grandma was on, she was telling me the tuition of when she was there, and Papa just told me when we were at his place the other day. But Grandma said it was like $300 for a year. I was like, wow, that.
I want to say we were probably in the 20s for a year, right? Back then, 20,000
really?
to 25. I kind of remember that. So it's kind of at least doubled, right?
Right.
So,
I think it's more than double now.
Yeah, I know. Now it's more than double.
Yeah.
And we did a little differently too. My dad paid tuition. If we wanted to stay on campus, we paid for room and board.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
And that kind of helped us, or drove me to work a little bit too. I always appreciated working too, and appreciated having money in my pocket.
But you always were on campus, right? You never did off campus.
Yeah, Fordham University, a little risky off campus. That's a bad area. That's Fort Apache to Bronx, they used to call that.
Yeah.
So it's you wanted to be on campus.
But you never did a commute from home to.
Oh, I'm sorry. My first year, that was a rule in my family as well. Papa wanted us to commute the first year. It was a solid hour commute, but he just wanted to make sure that we didn't go off the chain from
that makes
freedom.
Sense.
You see a lot of people, right? Kids who get that
I think
freedom
that
as
all
a
the time.
freshman,
Yeah.
and they bomb out the first year.
Well, I
so-
remember statistically at Scranton, my class was the biggest class. Started with, I think it was 1,200 kids, and by the end of the freshman year, it was down to, I think, 850. So it kind of goes to show you like how many people either transfer or party their way out. So I understand it. Papa was smart on that one. Well, Papa's always smart.
Yeah, so it
Love
worked
Papa
out,
Johnson.
and so I got through college. Met your mother more. I met your mom freshman year.
Now we're getting into the big story. This is what
Yeah,
everyone wants,
big
Dad.
story.
Give
Big
me
story?
I would take
All
you back to how did you meet Mom?
I met your mother. Actually, lived with somebody that I went to high school with. Her name was Maureen Plessner. I might get it wrong, and I went to visit her. It was like the beginning of school where people you kind of clinging to people you know, and she lived in a 2-story apartment, and on campus. Yeah, it was dorm, right? Yeah, they probably stuffed 3 or 4 girls in it, and I went to see this girl Maureen just to say hello, And I remember your mother walking down. It had like a spiral staircase.
That was it, Dad? You were like, Mom at first sight?
Yeah, it was like a scene. It was like,
That's what I used that on Mr.
Right.
Getty yesterday. I was like, was it love at first sight? He's like, no.
she was wearing it's going to sound weird, and she still has that dress today.
Oh,
like
really?
a kind of a flannel kind of check skirt. And
This
I
is love,
kinda remember-
guys. So remember
that
the
was
first
freshman
day.
year, and we didn't really, we didn't date her. I asked her to our senior prom, so a lot of time had passed. So, as freshmen, you'd take a lot of common courses, and we were in like theology and those type of things. And then I probably lost track of your mom probably through sophomore and junior year. Plus, junior year, remember, I was working that 4 to midnight thing, so I wasn't around very
Right.
much.
That was the
Right.
the security.
Right. And then we probably had some overlapping classes my senior year. Asked her to the senior prom, and the rest is history.
Oh, gotcha.
You know,
When you went to college, Dad, did a lot of kids from your area go to Fordham? Like, was that a common thing or not really?
I would probably say maybe 4.
Oh, okay.
4 or 5 maybe at best. And I don't know where everybody else went. Yeah, I went to a small high school that probably had 50 kids senior class. 50 or 60. I forget what the number was.
It was Catholic school, right?
Yeah, everybody just scattered to the wind.
Gotcha. So first date with Mom, it was technically that prom, but when was like the official first one? Do you remember it?
Official first date would probably be that prom, I would say.
Really?
Yeah. And then, we continued to date
dated
for a
all
lot of
over.
years after that. And then I finally popped the question.
So that's your senior year. Dated Mom for how long until you guys got married? 3?
No, it was something crazy.
Oh,
It was,
really?
It was, I feel like I got married when I was 28-ish. So probably 6 or 8 years I dated. Probably a good 6 years.
28? Really? Let's do the
Well,
math.
do the math. I don't know what you would do the math off of. Hold on.
I'm trying to think of if I
I just did my 30th anniversary, didn't I?
yeah.
Right. So
Yeah. So I guess
27,
you're right.
28, right?
Yeah. For some
So
reason
I-
I thought it was 25 you guys got married.
Right.
But.
So I dated her a solid 6, and I still think I rushed into it a little bit.
We'll cut that out for your mom if you want.
No, it was good.
So, do you remember? I don't think I know the story of how you proposed to Mom. I don't even know the whole story. If I ever asked you, for some reason in my head,
interesting
Dad, I
story,
think
yeah.
it's that pizza story where. So I think Aunt Robin implanted this in my head. Your sister, where it was like a pizza incident where you did like a pizza eating contest and threw up, and Mom was taking care of you. It was like, "Will you marry me?" or something. There's no way that's true, but I love that story. In my head, Aunt Robin told me that many years ago, and I was like, "Is that how he did it?"
No, it was pretty traditional in the sense that I got my the ring. I was up in Lake George, and I bought a bottle of champagne from the liquor store that her father owned.
Oh,
And he actually cashed me out. He didn't know me at all. Imagine it.
okay. Wow, that is interesting.
Yeah, I was just-
we won't go into that story.
yeah,
of why
ironic.
that's interesting, but
But and then I just proposed to her in front of Lolly and Sue. Aunt
Oh,
Sue.
really?
Yeah, in their dining room in that original house they had.
yeah, I don't remember
Yeah,
that house
yeah.
at all. But
Yeah,
interesting. I didn't know that.
yeah.
story.
And then we got married up there as well
At the Sagamore.
At the
Right.
Sagamore.
Sagamores a great place.
Right.
If you
And then
ever-
I think you came a couple years later.
right.
Oh,
3? I don't know how.
Yeah, I don't know what that number is. So let's go back to work. So I graduate from college, and I had some job offers like banking type stuff.
Well, real fast. What was your major?
I was an economics and a political science major, so it was kind of a dual, and I had no idea what to do with it, but I guess it was more in the banking side with the economics, and I also interviewed for AT&T, and in that interim, I was working for Uncle Bill, and
Oh, really? Wait, you were working for Uncle Bill for what?
construction, right? I mean, he was at the time early in his career, he just had a couple backhoes, and I'd trailer a backhoe to a job and just kind of dig a hole, a pit,
I
or
didn't
whatever.
realize you worked for Uncle Bill for a little bit.
I'll tell you, the day I got the call from AT&T, I was digging out somebody's septic field. You know, like that stuff falling out of the bucket. You're like, oh, splash! Right? You know, it was like one of the worst, grossest days. And I got a call from a gentleman I'll never forget named Mike Antieri that offered me a job in the World Trade Center back in, I want to say 1988, 87, 88. And that started the AT&T career.
I haven't heard that name in a while, Mike Antieri. I didn't realize that was the relationship. I didn't realize that. I thought he was like kind of the same level as you in the sense of how.
No, he was just a great guy that was a great mentor, great manager. And hopefully anybody in corporate America meets that kind of individual that cares as much about your career as his own.
Right.
So he had the confidence enough in his own career to worry about yours.
Gotcha.
And throughout my career, every once in a while, he'd call me and say, hey, what are you doing? Why don't you come work for me? And I'd go.
Just head over? Wow.
Yeah. You know,
I didn't realize there was that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
So you started AT&T. Now, this was back when AT&T was kind of separated from, like, that's when cell phone stuff was starting. Or it was like let me see if I'm getting this right. But one was like putting in wires. This is the story I've heard. You guys were doing like wiring for giant businesses and buildings and stuff like that. I mean, before they merged the cell phone and telecom together. Am I wrong on that?
AT&T in general, right? They all had that cabling, and even the house last mile and all that before wireless. That's all it was, right? So that was their business. Unfortunately, they transformed as technology changed, and they became more cellular focused, right? Yeah. So, you know, it's just kind of the natural progression of technology that got them there. But I started as a sales account executive supporting American Express, Shearson, Lehman Brothers, and that's where I met a close friend of mine, Mark Helmet, right? So He worked for that company, and 30 plus years later, still friends with him, right?
So, again, to be in that company for as long as you were, I forget what the total.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
So, but you had a bunch of different jobs in there. One of the things that I've mentioned with Mom on the podcast, that is, in our family, we don't really talk about work that much. That's just not our thing, except for Papa, of course, but which, again, we'll get into one day. But to this day, I don't 100% know what you did at AT&T, but I have kind of like a guess of based on what Mom and Papa have told me. So, what exactly was the starting job? You started in sales.
The beauty of AT&T at the time, great place to work. It was its heyday, let's say, or even, you know, maybe on the roller coaster.
Borderline it was still Monopoly.
It was still no. That was when Papa was there.
Yeah.
When Papa talks about his sales day, I'm like, there's nobody else.
So real fast. So my grandfather, my dad's dad, was CEO of AT&T Canada, right?
Yeah, but way before all that. You know, he was within AT&T.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And doing some Fed reg stuff with the lobbyists stuff.
Gotcha.
Did a lot of things, but he started kind of in a sales position as well. But that was like pre-divestiture. That's when there was no Verizon or anything. It was all one company.
Yeah.
And so I chuckle when he says it.
Because it is a monopoly at the time.
I don't know who else you could be selling against, right? When I got there now, Sprints and the MCIs of the world existed. So I was just a sales guy supporting those accounts downtown Manhattan. In the World Trade Center, I think I was on floor 77 or 71 or 77. And back in the late 80s. And I just remember what a chore it was getting there. If you ever been into the World War, nobody is anymore, obviously, unfortunately, but they were like cattle cars. The elevator was the size of this room, Chris.
Really?
Right, and you couldn't go to 77. You had to go from
like to 50.
Yeah, you know, like you had the speed one that
really,
you know, you got big buildings like that. They don't want you taking every one, right? So you got some that go from 0 to 40 and then bump up home.
I feel like it would also be a nightmare if everyone's trying to get on at this. Like there must have been multiple elevators on each floor.
It was a huge bank, but you know, obviously the 9/11 thing, you could just imagine walking down those buildings and the chaos that must just been their structure.
Would you say that building was like ahead of its time back then, or not really? Like I have.
I feel like it was the tallest by far. I remember being on that floor on a cloudy day, and you were engulfed by the clouds. You were that high up, you couldn't see anything.
Wow.
You know, so you're pretty far up there.
So you did that salesman job for how many?
I did it for about 5 years, and I got a call from Mike Antieri, and he said, "Why don't you come to headquarters?" And that's when I moved out here. They relocated me out here, and so what that meant is they paid for me to move. I didn't have much to move, but you know, they kind of helped, you know, me get this house. And I was working in Baskin Ridge, right, you know, a couple exits down. And
oh, that's right, that was at the where the Verizon building is now.
Yeah, that's the irony.
Yeah,
you know, that was the headquarters, the mothership of AT&T. Now it's owned by Verizon. You know, so
yeah.
it's a small world. But
I didn't realize that the new Verizon headquarters is right there.
I think, well, the new Verizon is that Baskin Ridge building is their headquarters now.
Right. I was told that it's that one right there now. Right by the.
You think so? I'd be surprised because that's a very insignificant building over there.
I've never noticed it.
Right, exactly. Where
that building's huge. The
Baskin Ridge one, you could get lost in it.
Yeah.
If you didn't know where you parked, it could take you a day to find it because
when you have your own restaurants in it, that's kind of, you know. Yeah.
You had a hotel. It was baseball fields on it. You know, it was a beautiful place. Well, so that was kind of a product management job. We were doing some stuff. Oh, we were trying to. That was a product management job that evolved to a kind of a global job where we were working with all AT&T like companies around the world and saying, hey, we'll take our stuff to midpoint in the ocean. You connect it the rest of the way. So we're trying to strike all those relationships. Mm-hmm. That's why it gave me opportunity to travel. Oh, right. Okay. The Singapore trips and some other nice trips that.
Am I born at this point, Dad? I don't.
No, I think you were born after that because when I would travel for that was like a 10-day. You know, those were pretty long trips.
So at what point did you move to did they move headquarters to Bedminster?
Yeah, I don't remember the time frame, but I guess from a job perspective, what brought me to Bedminster was a lot of product jobs, marketing jobs. The beauty about AT&T at the time, especially if you had some skills, if you had the right people looking after you, you spent about 2.5 years in every job, and then you're doing something else, which was really nice. And unfortunately today, and when I left after about 33 years,
isn't it wild that you worked there longer than you were married?
Yeah, that is interesting. Today, when I talk to people there and I saw it, you could have the same job. Nobody cares about. I'm not gonna say don't care about you, but nobody. You could do the same job until someday somebody taps you on the shoulder and say, we don't need you to do it anymore. Yeah. Like there's no movement, anymore. So that's a tough way to do it.
That's a tough trap to fall.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine doing the same thing for 30 years.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy.
That would be nuts.
Right.
So there was one point in my life where there was an option to move down to Texas because they moved the headquarters down to Texas. Right. I don't remember how old I was for that, but since then you've been able to work from home. Right. What do you remember what that was for? Like, why?
Sure do. That wasn't that long ago. You were in high school, and AT&T moved its headquarters from New Jersey down to Texas. It's funny, they went to San Antonio, then a year later they moved it again Dallas because they realized it's very hard to get to Houston. You don't have a major hub like
I think
Dallas.
taxes were also a factor.
Yeah, they got all kinds of perks for doing that as well. And so it's another, sometimes corporate America, that's how they kind of downsize as well. They say, hey, Mr. Catucci, we got a job for you. You can still keep your job. Mm-hmm. It's just in Dallas now. Right? So with you in high school, yeah, we weren't going to.
My brother's in grade school.
Yeah, we weren't going to pull you in high school. You might have been a sophomore or junior, and I was a little bit. I already had 20-something plus years in the company, and every year within AT&T, there's downsizing. So you had the risk of going to Dallas and them letting you go, and now my family, my lifelines of here are all severed. So I passed on that. And fortunately made a couple calls to people I knew, and they said, "Oh, you could do this job." And
within AT&T.
Yeah, within AT&T, and it turned that into an Internet of Things job, right? That's Internet of Things is
IoT.
all the IoT, the machine-to-machine stuff.
Yeah.
And I probably did that probably the last 5 years of my career. And that's where I met another great manager who I work for today, Joe Barr. Yeah, Joe Barr.
Still have yet to meet Joe Barr.
Yeah.
One of these days I have to. I've heard so many stories.
You just got to walk in on me. We're always on Zoom together.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, not much longer. I'm only here for a week, Father.
That's it.
So here's a question. If you didn't have those connections, Dad, do you think you would have been asked to leave AT&T for passing, or would you have had to take it to stay?
There's a couple of things that could have pushed me out of AT&T. One, if I didn't move, and I didn't have people, but also my performance was always high. I remember those. I went to a lot of ward type things, so I had the credentials where people.
My father was the face of AT&T.
No, I mean, no. There's a lot of
Employee of the year with 100 other people.
I don't know what their number is now, but they were like 280,000 employees, something ridiculous like that.
Is it getting hot here, Dad? Let me turn this on for you, just so I don't want to overheat us. But go ahead, continue.
Oh yeah. So, I obviously I was a proven entity, knew people as well, and they offered me positions, so it worked out really well.
Oh, okay. So gotcha.
And it was interesting. Throughout my career, I managed a lot of people. At one time, I managed about 15 people, which is a decent amount of people. But the last 5 years or so, 5 to 7 years, they called it an individual contributor. And that was a great experience, too, because when you manage people, it's a pain in the neck. Right. I mean, you don't choose everybody you manage, right? You inherit a group. Some people, aren't as good. Some are better, that kind of stuff. So being an individual contributor, my success was, I do it. I wasn't probably a great delegator anyway. So, it's been really successful, especially the last 5 years with AT&T, and very lucrative, especially in a sales type role. And then over in the place I am now.
Right.
In Sensata as well.
When you got the okay to work from home, was that did you prefer it at first? Because I feel like you were kind of stuck in the desk job, or going to an office, I should say, pretty regularly. What was that switch like? Because now it's a little different. You got kids at home all the time.
Well, you guys were a little bit older. Think about it. If you were in high school, everybody was out. Here's the difference, too. I only, as you know, I was only 2 miles away.
Yeah, I didn't want to. Yeah. So one of the beauties of working at AT&T.
It was just a lucky.
My father, because I knew kids in school that barely saw their parents because they were always working in the city. For reference, we're about 45 to 50 minutes away from New York City. So a lot of kids would only see their parents on the weekends. We had dinner every night as a family, which to this day, that's one of those things where, that's a blessing in itself. So many kids don't eat with their families.
Well, I thank the Lord for this one, because I had never had a commute. So when I worked in Manhattan, it was like 3 stops to the World Trade Center. I could Tried walking it, but it was deceiving. I used to walk it every time. I was like,
Man,
wow, that looks pretty
why am I
close.
sweating when I get here?
It's an illusion, right?
Yeah.
Because it looks like it's very close, but it never was. Then I moved out here. I actually worked in Somerset a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 15 minutes away. Then I worked in Bridgewater, which by the time the antenna went up on my car, like I was there. You know what I mean? Like, I had a mechanic say I was doing damage to my car because it wasn't heating up enough.
Really?
Right? Like the muffler or whatever, because it was such a short. And I would actually come home for lunch every once in a while now. Literally, as you know, that's right. You know what building that one is, right?
Which one? I'm sorry?
The Bridgewater one is 2 down from... how do you describe it? So
I have no idea where this is. In Bridgewater?
Yeah, it's literally, Chris, it's a loop. You know where that lake is over there?
Yeah. The one.
Yeah.
Oh, I would consider that Bedminster. I didn't realize that.
No, that's considered Bridgewater. So,
okay.
So that was.
I forgot about that.
That's 2 miles away, and then Bedminster is 3 miles away.
You're gonna get a long commute, Ken. It's almost double the length.
So yeah, so to your point, it allowed me to really have a balanced life, a quality of life that people, hear the war stories of people commuting hour, 2 hour. My dad, Papa used to commute 2 hours each way. I never had that.
So why did Papa go? So at one point was the Bedminster headquarters, never mind. So Papa had to go to the one in Basking Ridge, right?
Yeah.
From Westchester all the way down the ridge. Right. Wow, that's...
And he did it before 287 was completed, so you took 80. You took a really convoluted way to get there. And to your point and what you said earlier, we would not see my dad until, 9 o'clock at night, or something. He was never around for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He was great on the weekends. Every once in a while they'd show up at a basketball game. Like he had some things he would do. But you always had that 2 hour commute.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and then you retired in 2021? Am I correct? After 33?
2 years ago. So, so AT&T did something. There's subtle ways of reducing your workforce. One is saying, hey, your job's in Dallas. I'm not firing you. You can come to Dallas. The other thing they did is they said, hey, if you're in such an age group and people like myself, and this doesn't happen anymore, have actually health benefits that take you to age 65 from AT&T. They said if you don't retire now, you don't get those. So I looked around. I was financially ready. Talked to your mom, and we said, hey, let's just get out. It's not worth staying around. And so that's when I retired.
So you retired at 57. Right, well,
56, yeah, right. I'm 58 now. 2 years ago, 56.
For some reason I thought you were 59.
56, and then a couple months, right? We were going to the Y.
Yeah, there's a couple months where the joke I always have is, I swear to God, when you mowed the lawn, I swear to God, I feel like you started at the 7-inch, went down to the 6, and the 5.
Oh, it's taking a long time.
Yeah, you were on there. I felt like you were on there forever. Like I would finish recording and certain things, and Dad was out on the tractor still. I was like, man, this feels long. But I mean, I understand it, especially because I see with Uncle and sometimes Papa too, kind of like that work ethic of like, I can't imagine doing nothing. Is that kind of? Tell me if I'm right about that.
Well, here's what happened. Financially was smart to retire. A lot of dynamics were happening, 401ks and all that kind of stuff. So it was a great time to get out. And I ended the end of November, so say December 1st of that year.
Right.
And, you and I did the Y, and we were doing that kind of stuff. And I remember in about January, Joe Barr called me, and there was like a foot of snow on the ground. And he's like, what are you going to do? And I'm like,
get bored.
So he caught, like my honeydew list was all done, right?
Yeah.
The house, you did all that kind of stuff. And I said, Joe, I'll come back to work for you. And so he said, hey, just give me a little time. And they offered me a great position working for Joe.
Yeah, we won't say the company just because I don't know if you want it out there. I don't know if anyone cares.
Well, I work for a company. I'm proud of the company. A company called Sensata.
Okay.
So They actually make all the sensors that cars have. All the ones in our
Right.
So pretty good business there. Nice company, about $4 billion revenue stream a year for that company. And all right, so he said, hey, come work for me. So I started April 1st. So I had that period of time from December to April 1 was kind of my little hiatus from work. And I was working for Joe for a little bit, and all of a sudden they reorged, and I wasn't working for Joe anymore. I'm like, what the heck happened here?
Joe, how could you?
He was so apologetic. It's just the way it worked.
Did you give him the whole, did you know?
Well, it was weird. They wanted me to do something working back with AT&T people. And so I was kind of a natural fit.
Right.
The guy I worked for was Tom. Nice guy. Yeah, I said, sure. They, and they kind of said, hey, could you help us out? And,
this is Tom at Sensata or Tom
at Tom at Sensata. And so that was working out real well. And then we just kind of reorged again in, I want to say, September timeframe, and I'm working for Joe again.
What happened to Mike Antieri?
Mike Antieri ultimately retired.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So
he
retired at young. Nah, I'm probably not too good about that kind of stuff. I probably should do
Just
something.
give him a call.
Check in.
Especially after this one.
He retired early. He had great success with AT&T, and he retired relatively early as well. So I should mental note. I should follow.
I'll write it down for you. You know who else you should call? Mr. McGeary. I was just thinking that the other day because they had a picture.
I am. That's definitely a flaw of mine. About you always get people in the present.
Yeah.
And then you kind of drop off a little bit in the back. And I'm not a big what do you call it? The from a social media.
Yeah. My parents have never been into Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
But even the business version of that, I haven't looked at my
LinkedIn.
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't. I haven't LinkedIn in a long time. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I see somebody reach to me. Wow, this is about 6 months old.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
oh, that's good.
Right.
So you've been there for almost 2 now, right? And
2 at the end of first quarter this year would be 2.
How different is that compared to what you've been doing for 30? Because to me, to do not one thing, but be at one company for 30 years and then just kind of translate over, even though you knew some people like Joe Barr who was already there, was it kind of a big, a huge difference in job type or not really?
What's interesting is different culture, right? Mm-hmm. Different job's a job. Somebody shows me how to do this, I'm going to do it. That kind of stuff. So but you realize the benefits of AT&T, the training, the kind of fundamentals that you acquired working 30 years for AT&T, and then when I go into this company, I didn't see that as much, and it's good, different, and again my. Being in the twilight gives me a different perspective as well.
Because it's a smaller company, is it a little more I don't want to say intimate, that's not the right word, but you get to know people a lot better because you're working with the same people more often, or is it kind of the same at AT&T because your teams?
Nah, yeah, you only have your span there of organizations and people you deal with. Same with AT&T. Yeah. We didn't know everybody, just
your team
who support you. Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Same structure there. Both good companies. It's been a great experience. And
Sensata was originally another friend's company. I can't think of his name.
There's a huge story here. Sensata is a parent company, and probably about 3 years ago, they went on a little spending spree. So they bought a asset tracking company called Zergo.
Zergo, thank you.
Right, and they bought a camera company called CallPass, and a platform company called Elastic. So they bought these 3 organizations or 3 companies. I knew the guy well that owned Zergo, who's now retired. So he jumped about half a year ago out of the Zergo piece. So it was nice to work.
Did they just buy him out? Is that basically what they did?
No, what happens is once you get acquired like that, they keep you around for a couple of years, or they make sure you can't leave for a couple of years. monetarily incented, right? And that time expired for him, and he could have stayed on, but he said, "Hey, I'd rather just." He wanted to spend more time with his kids and those types of things. He's about my age too. Done really well. He sold that company a couple times, and Sean Edelman is a name, a great guy. And
when was the last time you talked to him, Dad?
I should. All right, I'm going to text him tomorrow.
You got it. You got to text all these people. Now that we're going down memory lane.
Yeah, and so that's the side that I started on with Joe, because Sean hired Joe and so on, and then I started working on the camera side, that smart witness side, and now through reorg everybody does everything now. So now I do some of the asset tracking, some of the camera stuff, and all for with Joe.
So let's talk future. So how many more years do you think you're going to be doing that for, Dad?
I don't know. It's maybe. I don't want to put a number on it until it's uncomfortable.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. You'll know, right?
I'll know. But again, being in the twilight and not needing to work gives you a different perspective. Like, I will say no to something now. You know what I mean? If I don't want to do this travel. I don't. You become more vocal because you don't care. I'm not trying to get a career path here. It's funny. This is the time of year where people do performance appraisals and stuff. I'm like, Joe, whatever you got to give me, I couldn't care less. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if you got to give somebody something real good, go ahead. I don't care.
As long as your performance is good.
Yeah, right? But I don't even care, because I remember I'm a individual contributor, so I'm not managing people. It's very black and white. You have numbers to meet, you make them or you don't.
Right.
And so. It's been good so far. So, I don't know. We'll see. But the other thing, you got to see where this company's going. They actually had some downsizing, voluntary downsizing, those type of things, and I didn't put my hand up, because I wasn't ready to go. But maybe if they do that at the right time, a year out or so, and say, hey, what the heck?
Yeah. But now, besides me moving, you and Mom are going to move pretty soon, to my understanding. You guys have a game plan just yet? We haven't really talked about it completely, but
I think obviously we've been looking into Carolinas. What's interesting though is not really close to where you are.
Damn it!
What? Right, because
I can't come home for dinner.
North Carolina's a big state.
Yeah, it's huge.
Right, so we could be 5 hours away from where you are. We could be farther away from Lolly than we are here. From here to Lake George. So I think now that...
Lolly is my grandmother. Just so we call her that on the podcast. So.
Now that your grandmother's down there, I think your mother will focus a little bit more on what we're going to do. I could still work this job and be somewhere else. It really doesn't matter. But we don't have much to do here to get this house ready. The bigger challenge is to find a house that your mother likes, because...
So building's out of the question now? We're not doing the whole building thing?
That's...
I hope I'm not starting any fights here.
You're probably, that is beyond my knowledge and capability.
Right.
And you hear a lot of horror stories over that.
Especially if you're not close to the building facility.
Right. I've probably seen 4 or 5 houses that I would have said, hey,
this is the one.
Or I've even shown them your mom. She
not the one.
She rips them. I'm not even close.
I don't like that. Yeah, that's Mom.
So
Mom's a perfectionist when it comes to that stuff.
So I think once her mother settled down there, she'll probably focus on that a little. I just don't know if that home exists down there that she's looking for. Pool, lake, there's a lot of requirements. Yeah. So we'll see. But it's exciting. I'm excited for the change. I probably, as you know, I probably once a month come up for about a week, spend time with my dad. And
what's the plan for that one? You just go, so let's say you do move down south or wherever you go. Are you gonna stay for like a week then instead of the usual?
Yeah. So today I kind of do the Thursday Friday thing, work from his place, and then I'll spend a week with him, a solid week.
It's a lot of pool. It's a lot of pool. Yeah. One thing that we do when we go visit my grandfather is my dad and I don't mean to brag, but the 3 of us together, I think we kind of beat out everyone else. So it's really, I feel like the real competition is when you, me, and Papa play. Does that make sense? If I can beat Papa,
we'll probably see tomorrow.
Yeah,
but,
depends on how it's shooting. But.
Pool's a little weird. Anybody?
Let's put it this way: when my brothers go and cousins go, they do the stripes and solids. When we play, we don't do
straight pool. Yeah, straight pool.
A little different.
But even 8-ball, anybody can win. Straight pool though, over one game we talked about doesn't call it right. It's overtime.
I need I need to bring like one of those score things because
it's like almost like an abacus where you hit the
because sometimes those get into the hundreds. You're usually going by balls, right?
Yeah, I mean they play for hours. Like just two guys going for hours, right?
So that's what I'm saying. In a week, you might have to stack them for days.
When I go there, when I'm with him on Thursdays and Fridays, we probably pay 2 hours of pool each day.
That seems light. I would have thought you would do more.
But we've timed ourselves because we're playing like 6-minute games. Yeah. So that's a lot of pool. I put his music on. He just.
You think you guys finished in 6 minutes?
We've timed it. Probably the average.
So,
probably
so
6
real
to 8.
fast to people that
straight
don't.
Pool. Yeah.
So for people that don't know real pool, straight ball.
Straight pool. Yeah.
Straight pool.
Yeah.
It's not like you don't do these big breaks. Your goal isn't to open up the playing field. Right. So sometimes those games can last a while because you don't want to be the guy that breaks all the balls. Because my grandfather will run a table. My dad can do it too. I'm not great at running a table, but
correct. So if somebody, everybody loves to get up there, hit the ball as hard as they can into the rack, and it dispenses the balls all over the place.
If you do that in front of my dad or my grandfather, you're going to lose right away. You won't shoot.
Right. That's what happens. So we go to the other extreme. Yeah. And still, even doing it that way, somebody's got to break something up. And
no safety shots. I learned that the hard way.
Every once in a while, he throws the safety. Didn't you even do
I did that the other day because I was like, I'm not losing this one.
And but that place, especially this time of year where he lives, it's kind of like our own place. We never get.
It's a giant facility, essentially.
There's nobody like saying next or contention for the table. We never wait for it or anything, so it's like our own place, and gets them out from watching Fox News all day.
The only thing we gotta do is straighten out that table. I think that's quite the curve.
That's our own.
Bend it like Beckham on that thing.
That's our own little secret when we're playing for somebody.
You'll see the ball just like whoa.
Yeah.
But so. When you officially retire, Dad, what are you gonna do? Like, would you like pick up golf or something, or do you think you just?
I really don't know. And I said this 2 years ago. I probably have to do something structural. I don't know if I'm like,
basketball's
I tell people this is like my Home Depot job. You ever see people at Home Depot?
The greeter?
No, not the greeter. That's more. Maybe a little better. I don't know. You're talking Walmart. Yeah. Maybe I can be a greeter at Walmart or work an aisle at Home Depot.
Yeah, I know what you mean by that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I can't not do anything.
Yeah.
But I really don't know what that is. But here's the biggest fear. You don't know your lifespan. And
oh, God, you're about to get all deep on it.
Yeah. No, your lifespan or, you earn X amount of money over your life. When do you get kicked back and enjoy it? Figuring out what Mom and I want to do, if travel, whatever.
Well, Uncle's the great example of that. A guy that's retired 6 times. I won't go into Uncle's stuff, but like, yeah, to your point, what's the financial number where you're like, hey, we're done.
Right.
And I don't think he's a guy that I would say mentally like just workaholic. Right. And what I mean.
But I'm not. Totally, Uncle Ray is an exception, right? He's been very.
So that's my mom's brother.
Yeah, but you see his style or how he gets there. He's all in, and I don't know. I don't know how to relax yet to that degree of retirement, right?
It's weird, right? Because you've been going kind of full throttle for X amount of years, and not that I don't want to say you had it easier. In the sense of you weren't traveling as much, so you're always with family. And realistically, from the horror stories that I've heard from friends, it's not like you missed out on much in the sense of our lives. You're a coach.
Oh, yeah. That's it. That goes back to having no commute.
Yeah.
Right? So I coached you guys in baseball, basketball, everything because...
Yeah. I mean from the standpoint of like, I hear a lot of parents, especially people that I see at the Y who had these crazy jobs, they always say, well, I missed out on this that my kids did or whatever.
Yeah.
You never had that. So for you, even though you have been going head first all the way through your career, you had enough downtime where it's like, I understand why you haven't retired because you didn't really miss anything. Right. So that's what I mean. Like when you're done,
well,
done,
it wasn't a trade-off. It
Yeah.
wasn't a trade-off. I still was part of your lives growing up, and I didn't miss a thing, and so it was just a great opportunity. That's why I'm thankful for AT&T. It allowed me that. A lot of things, though, I'll take you way back. When I started, think about this: there were no cell phones, and there were no PCs. Right?
Ooh.
So no, but Chris, when you were done, say at 5:30, 6 o'clock, or whatever the thing was, you went home. You were done. Like there was no connect. You were
That's a good
totally
point.
disconnected.
Yeah.
You know?
Now when you're on vacation, you're still taking calls and stuff sometimes. So
Yeah, no question about it. You know, even and that's just me too. That's hard to turn off. And you know, I'm not one to just go sit on the couch and watch stuff, right?
I can't do that.
You know, yesterday, I don't know if you know what I did yesterday, but I woke up at 9 and did that wood.
The wood.
Till about 5 o'clock.
I was saying to Mr. Greta, I think yesterday, we cut down all these trees and we had so much lumber that basically we didn't know what to do with it. So I didn't realize.
Right, so it's all moved and stacked and everything else, right?
Yeah,
so
now we have wood for the next 5 years here.
So I still have a very high energy level, and I got to figure out what to do with that. I don't know if golf's the answer. I don't mind golf. I'm terrible at golf. So I got a lot of runway.
Doing the par 9, par 3. I mean, all the...
You know, but nor have I ever put my mind to it, nor the time to it.
Right.
You know, I never had the interest to dedicate 4 hours to do 18 holes of golf.
Yeah.
Maybe that's. I still don't think. I don't know if I can allocate.
Do you think
that
you still have
kind
basketball in you, Dad?
Yeah, definitely. My elbow's feeling better now, and I think I can go back to shooting hoops.
Okay. Can you play though? Like in the sense of you're good for the cardio back and forth.
This
or?
jumper never. It's timeless.
Yeah. Well, shooting's one thing, but you still got to keep up on the court.
Oh, you're right. Cardiovascular. I'm definitely hurting there, right? But
when was the last time
that
you
was
played?
never my strength.
Did you play during the summer?
No, I don't think so. My elbow was in pretty bad shape for a while, so I don't know, probably 6 months or eight months or so.
Do you think you're done with tennis?
No.
Really? I would have thought that would be the one.
No, I played paddleball.
Pickleball.
Pickleball and stuff. Your mom is my tennis partner, right? And she's with her knee, so that stopped us from playing tennis.
Yeah, it's funny how you said partner because I was like, oh yeah, they like
Well,
the tag team, but
no.
no, you're right. Yeah,
tennis has been a great thing for Mom and I to do. Right, we can volley. She hits well.
It's not like we're smacking the ball at each other, right? You're not really hitting it hard, are you?
I hit it hard. That's the beauty of your mother. I've always hit hard to her, and she can always hit it hard back.
But are you making her go left and right like crazy? Or
well,
not really?
Not anymore.
But trying to make her dive a little bit for something.
Yeah. No, but we play pretty hard. When we just been volleying, but it's not a. We do put a lot of pace on the ball.
Gotcha. It's been a while since I've seen you play tennis.
But how long has she been going with that knee?
Yeah.
That's probably 6 months, and so we haven't played.
It feels like so much longer.
Yeah,
that's why I thought it was way longer. But
hopefully she'll, her and Uncle Ray will do the stem cell thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if she talked about that, but
yeah, I don't talk about our work stuff with our viewers just because we've never. I don't know.
It's not work stuff.
It's not work stuff, but
it's a procedure,
yeah,
right? So
I don't know how some people feel about the stem cell stuff.
That's
what I mean.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
So, but yeah. Okay, well, good. I mean,
but to the retirement, I have to broaden my hobbies or my interests.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm always curious what your hobbies are going to be besides sports because I know the age where like I don't want to say deterioration is what I'm looking for, but like you start realizing you can't really keep up. That's just a fact of life, right? So, do you think you're going to do any hobbies that aren't sport related?
Before you go there, I feel I can. Here's my problem. I can keep up with my age group, but when you go shoot around, you never. you're playing with all different.
You have that
ages.
one kid that thinks he's going to the NBA,
right? All of a sudden I'm guarding a 18-year-old like Mike,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, and it's not so much deteriorating. It's the injuries, Chris.
Yeah,
the injuries. I've had a couple like back spasm type stuff, and the elbow's a different thing, right? But the back is the thing that scares me.
That's what I meant by deterioration. Like
Yeah.
you just kind of your body can't maintain like certain hits anymore that you used to get.
Well, I know when I did play on Saturday or Sunday morning at the Y, I'd come home. I'd have to take a nap, and I'm not a napper. You know what I mean? Like, my body was just...
Let's talk about the Advils you had to take, too.
I have pregame Advil now. But
Pre-game Advil.
But I had... Probably the last few times that I played at the Y, I came home stuff. I was just drained of all energy.
Yeah.
And that's just an age thing.
I was like that with the wood yesterday.
But it's fun. I can do that. It's a different kind of...
Really? See, that tires me out, whereas sports don't really tire me out. I guess that's...
I don't know. Maybe just running and the pounding on your feet and your
knees hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm. But workout-wise, you're fine, right? You haven't really...
Yeah, it's funny. I'm still... Well, I still do the same workout, basically, that I've done since I was 18. You know what I mean? The same...
Yeah, the weights have just changed,
Yeah.
right?
I'm definitely on the roller coaster's going down on the weight side of it. And that's all because of injury too,
right? When you start throwing in cardio again, like you doing a treadmill anytime soon?
Well, I should maybe. The next phase. I think when I start retiring, I got to start doing the cardio. I enjoy walking. I enjoy that kind of stuff, especially with Bo and those type of things. I could do a lot more of that. Especially I'd like if we move down south, maybe some biking, maybe some.
A little hiking, maybe too. Yeah.
I don't know about hiking.
little uphill battle. I'm not saying rock climbing. I just mean, hey, maybe like a little.
Well, we got to get your mother's
knee
straightened out too. I'd like to do stuff with her.
Yeah, that's definitely not something you want to do on your own. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, it's funny. My mom hasn't worked since I was born, but the joke that we have is my mom's been through school 4 times essentially. So my mom's kind of worked in that regard. So I'd like to see what would happen when Mike's done with school and mom can finally kind of step back from all that stuff and kind of live her life.
Yeah, too. I mean, she's definitely played a role in your, to her credit, it's been all her about just making sure you guys are academically moving along.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. Right?
Thank God. I won't lie to you guys. We might not be here.
So we're a semester away from that end. So yeah she's going to graduate right next to Mike, I guess.
Mom gets 4 diplomas.
She obviously, as she keeps herself busy. Yeah. And I'm sure Grandma keeps her busy and those type of things as well. So, but once he gets out, Mike, there should be some allocation of time
to do
back.
pretty much everything. Right? Yeah. And then all you have left is the dog.
Right. And then and that might be the focus on, where the next house is.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Dad, we just did about an hour. We can keep going if you want. I don't know. Next time
I'm feeling comfortable. So
my dad didn't want to be it. Did you think you were going to feel uncomfortable talking to your son?
I want to ask you. Can I flip it on you?
Go ahead.
So give me your thoughts on North Carolina.
I'm going to move this over real fast just because the camera's right there. But
okay,
let's go to this side. No, you're good. My thoughts on North Carolina. I won't lie. It hit me the other day, Dad, that, I mean, this is kind of the biggest chapter of my life that's been... Like, this is the first time in 28 years I'm out of this house. That one kind of hit me a little bit. Now, to your point, I will be back fairly regularly after. Like, I'll probably be there for a couple months, and then Uncle's going to be like, or my boss, who is my uncle, if my viewers haven't figured out that yet. I got to question my viewers a little bit. But I'm sure I'll be back fairly regularly after that because my office is still Princeton, which how many times have I gone to that office? Just one thing. But
well, we always, similar to Kenny, we'll fly you home anytime you want to come.
Yeah.
That's on us.
Even though my flying is a little more of a pain in the ass than Kenny's.
Well, okay, I'll give you gas money.
Well, thanks.
We haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, logistically, I have to be there for a little bit before we understand what the best way of travel is. You recommended driving it. I'm going to be honest with you, Dad. I'm not doing that drive. It's like 10 hours. We think it's 8.5.
Right. When you think about a 3-hour drive to an airport or something to that effect.
Well, I was doing the math in the sense of, let's say I drove to the airport and I was here for a week, and let's say, because I see with Kenny, like, oh, Uncle says you're gonna, or my boss says you're gonna be here for a week, and then it ends up being a month.
Right.
If I'm keeping my car at an airport, what do you think that bill's gonna be? Right. So then I say, why wouldn't it be smarter to literally walk to that little airport, take the layover, even if it's like price wise? I feel like it's gonna be the same amount, or if not way less than if I left the car there and then headed up to Jersey. See what I'm saying?
Here's the difference. The difference between you growing up and me growing up. We used to drive all over the place, and so we didn't care about a 2-hour, 3-hour drive. And even to this day, as you know, I don't care about an 8-hour drive.
Yeah, so, which is insane.
Yeah,
I don't know how you do that.
I don't know. I haven't done it yet. So, but
well, you drove Kenny down.
Yeah, that was a straight shot.
So that's from Jersey to Miami.
Yeah,
19, right?
What did we left at 1 and we got there about 9 a.m. the next day,
God.
right? So, yeah.
I would never do that.
What is that math? I give Kenny sat shotgun the whole time. So
8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's 6,
20.
Yeah.
That's 20.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
tough. That was 20. And we didn't. We stopped for not much, to tell you the truth.
It's like you realize how crazy that is, right? No hotel.
We peed behind a dumpster at a closed gas station in the middle of the night.
Kenny told me tell me if this is true. Kenny said that you guys pulled an all-nighter when you got there to reset your schedules. Did you do that?
Yeah.
I can't see you pulling an all-nighter.
Well, here's what happened. We got there. It was 9 a.m. By the time we figured out logistics and he got a key, it was like 11 or 12. Then we started unloading the truck, right? And in the hours that took, we were like, if we sleep now, if we just hang for a little bit, we totally missed the cycle.
Right.
So it wasn't. There wasn't time to we kept so busy, and you got to remember, you've been to his place, parking was he's on 19, parking's down at the bottom. You can imagine unloading a car one at a time. That took us, we're going to have a similar thing, but you're not 19 floors up and all that kind of stuff.
Thank God.
So that's why it just burned the whole day anyway. And all of a sudden we didn't need it anymore, and we just toughed it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could have done that. I think I would have. I'm a late night person, but I don't think I could do 30. What would that be? That would be, you were way past 24 hours.
Yeah, remember that security guard job I told you about?
Yeah.
The caliber of people that work in security is not that great. So I remember there was a little bit of I was a college student. I didn't care. It was good money, though. They would stiff. It was a bad snowstorm, or not even a moderate snowstorm, and I got left there, and the next 2 guys didn't come up to relieve me. So I was up for 24 hours. And I remember my body was shaking because I was so tired. I actually drove to Elmsford area, almost where Papa is now, where Grandma Catucci used to live.
So that's my dad's great grandmother.
Right.
No, my great grandmother.
She lived in Elmsford, right near Uncle Ron and Aunt Mara. And I instead of going to Mohegan, which was another 40 minutes, I went to her place and just crashed. I couldn't even make it home. Really? I was just yeah. So I've gotten better at that, obviously. The harder ride, though, was coming back from Florida, because now I made it even a longer trip in one shot.
Because you went to visit someone?
I grabbed Mr. Hellman.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I went across. I went from Miami over to the west side of Florida, then up to Sarasota, and then home.
Wow. And
so we got there. So that probably added a good hour or two to that trip. And we made it again.
Yeah, I don't have enough music to do that. I don't know how you did it. I don't think I could listen to I probably could listen to a podcast or some comedy, but I would get sick of
I don't know how Mr. Hellman, he just, thankfully, because Mr. Hellman was a big planner. He's 4 months from now we're going on vacation. That's how him. And I just said, you're coming.
You just, I'm bringing you up.
I said, I'll fly you back if you're just gonna accompany me up.
Oh, that's nice.
And he showed more flexibility than I have ever seen him, right? Because I didn't give him a time to even think about it, right? And then he stayed with us for a few days, saw his brother. It was a really good time,
Nice.
you know?
Yeah. But so we leave next Saturday to come down. To go down to North
I think
Carolina.
8 hours is nothing. So
that's not me.
I don't know why though. I feel like we'll see. Maybe I'm talking a good game, and maybe I'll.
Well, you did 19. I feel like if you did 19,
But I feel with music and podcasts, that's the whole thing. That mindless drive.
Yeah.
Luckily, if we're making small talk, that's a long drive. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I was like, man.
Well, you're on your own. You're on your own,
yeah.
Right? Because you're going to be in a camera.
I'm
anyway.
hoping Mr. Greta, my uncle's with me, but.
Well, he's offered. Like he sounds like he wants to. Sounds like we might need him, right?
He doesn't have much of a choice.
Yeah.
So
we'll see if he comes through on that. And but now let's go back to North Carolina and you. So.
Whose podcast is this?
Well, I'm kind of curious. And now that I'm not going to be driving in the car with you, we can't talk about it. Like, obviously that changes from residency are one thing. But will your lifestyle change?
Dad, I'm telling you, I'm going to come back jacked.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, how'd you put on so much muscle?
You're going to be like everybody else starving, like you never see food, like your brothers.
Just eggs. Eggs all the time. Omelet, protein shake.
Because mom's up making the buffet for you every day.
Yeah. I've already kind of planned ahead in the sense of I have an idea what I want to do from a food standpoint.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, where I am, as you saw, I don't know if you know, but the grocery store is about from where we are now to our neighbors over there. It's really close.
Oh, good deal.
Yeah, so I can just walk to it. I feel like I'm pretty easy in the sense of I do have the discipline to stop if nothing's in the house. My big problem is, as you know, there's so much junk upstairs. Like, the one beautiful thing about, I don't want to call it laziness, but if something's not in front of me, I'm not going to go get it. So I'm not going to go get you'll never see me buying sweets, right? So that's that discipline I know I have. From the lifestyle perspective of, I can't say I'm really on my own for the first 2 months because obviously grandma's with me and Sue's down the road just in case of emergency. So that's my mom's sister. When I'm officially on my own, where grandma's not there, and even I want to have a certain level of distance between Aunt Sue and Uncle Jerry, of course, then it's going to be a little dicey because I haven't been on my own since college. And I never really had a problem in college in the sense of it's all kids that you're around your friends. Here we're starting from scratch. And you know me at the Y, they call me the mayor. I mean,
I think you'll establish, and that's what I meant more socially. I know you're going to eat whatever. So I mean, getting you out to the Y. We'll see.
Do you want to be the next Thor?
Just so you know, I think me too, because mom's not going to cook as much.
Yeah.
And she knows because I'm going to call her out on it, right? Yeah. And hopefully she's not going to be baking cookies she's not for me, right? So hopefully I'll eat a little bit more. You put it in front of me, I'm going to eat it.
Well, my dad has this amazing ability where he can eat salad for a week and somehow survive. I couldn't eat a salad for a week and lose weight. I'd have hunger headaches like crazy. I don't know how you do it.
I've just kind of, as much as I eat, I don't care about food as much. You know what I mean? I feel like it's the act of eating, right?
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I would be lying if I said I didn't like good food, but I can do without it for a little bit. I do think
that's all I did.
Yeah.
Right?
I just couldn't do salads. Like, I don't know how. I don't have that ability. That's a Catucci ability. I have their own build.
That chicken in it. Hold on. I read it. I had, when I lost all that weight in that week or whatever, egg in the morning, like a drink at lunch.
One egg. I haven't had one egg in years.
One egg. Yeah, I know you haven't. One egg, a drink, and then a salad with like chicken.
Yeah.
But I did that for 10 days straight.
My problem, the downside of my schedule is because I'm up so late, and even though it doesn't seem like hard work, I understand, but these lights cause me to sweat, and I feel like I'm burning calories just doing that. You know what I'm saying? So I get hungry like kind of late at night, and I try not to eat. The sparkling water helps a lot when trying to stop eating. But if there's this is what I mean by the laziness. If there's no water in the fridge, I'm screwed. I have to eat something. So for me, the waters help a lot to stop my appetite. But if I don't have those, then I'm eating at night. That's my thing. That's my only problem.
Yeah.
My other problem's with grandma. I don't know how much she's pushing, but I'm a little afraid to eat grandma's cooking.
Yeah,
I see my grandmother cook. It's not. Maybe I'll get some breakfast sometime.
Aunt Sue, you got to worry. She's a good cook, Aunt Sue. Sue.
Thank God I'm not living with them.
Yeah,
I like to think that Aunt Sue's not going to bring me leftovers every day, which...
She might bring grandma, though. I think she used to do that with grandma. So
that's okay. I can push away at certain moments, but like... yeah, I mean, if as long as I'm not hungry, the hardest part for me is feeling full. That's my thing. So once I get to that point, which mine's clearly higher than most people's, just you've seen me eat, it's not pretty. But if I can get to that fullness feeling, I'm good. And I think I could do that with the schedule that I'm on.
You know my problem, Chris. You know I can eat too, right? I'm never really full. So... I have to I have to stop eating.
Yeah, that
I don't have the sensation. I mean, I can get there like grossly full.
You're undoing
yeah. I mean,
you're undoing the button. That's usually.
But you know, Aunt D unfortunately has the same problem where we can just keep going. So we got to say, hey, enough. And that's why when Mom makes so much food,
it's tough.
And you know how much I comment on that because I know it is testing my discipline all the time, and I'm failing a lot. You know what I mean? Like if it's there, it goes back to your point. If it's there, you eat it. Are you going to go? You know, if you go to the grocery store, you just buy the necessities. You're not buying the. You know, the cookies aren't the best thing.
Here's the other one for me that might be the real kick in the face is because I don't do my own shopping. I don't have much of a what's the word? Like, I don't know how much certain things cost, which I know is crazy to say. But, like, in my head, I'm like...
I better brace you for that, buddy.
Yeah. Like, milk is $20, right?
if you buy your eggs, man, you're going to be like, oh.
So that, to me, is going to be the dicey one in the sense of I don't have no reference.
You should ask Kenny, right? That's why...
I've talked to Kenny a couple times.
We send him food because we know he's cheaping out down there. You know...
I have been talking to Kenny about that a little more just because my big thing is meal prepping now. That's going to be my thing, and I'm going to try it, which is like you make all your meals on like Saturday, Sunday so that you're good for the week and you know how much your calorie count is. I think
that's why you need salad and chicken, man. Well,
I might have to.
I don't know how you're going to make I never understood that concept. I mean, are you going to make a variety of things?
You basically do like, oh, okay, so I know I'm going to have chicken on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, something else in between. A lot of people will just do one big crock pot of a bunch of things and then just spice it up that way.
See, I'm never, you're less of a leftover guy than I am.
Leftovers. I'm not a leftover
you know what I mean? That's why.
So, can I tell you why? I don't know if I've ever told you. I've never said this in front of Mom, but I don't know if you notice it, but I don't know if it's because we wash them so much. Things have a soapy taste to it. Have you ever noticed that at like the Tupperwares? Yeah. I guess my palate is just unbelievable.
Yeah, you must be.
My palate's just out of this world.
Yeah. See, I eat all the leftovers too, so.
Yeah.
But the thing that balances me too is I really only have 2 meals a day.
That's the same for me, but if I do the one at night, that's
But then
the third.
Think about if we're eating at 5:30, my next meal is noon. The next day.
That does help you, huh? And also, when you cut out your sodas, you lose a lot too. Like
and I've been drinking a lot of soda lately. So
my viewers always make fun of me because I'll have Pepsi. Apparently everyone's a Coke fan in this country.
Really?
Father, yeah.
Wow.
So they think that we're crazy people for having Pepsi. My dad hoards Pepsis. How many do we have outside? The 2-liter bottles we got. There was a time.
No, you're right.
We put in an extra shelf just for Pepsi.
Well, that's why I moved to cans because I was drinking too much of the 2 liters. But you're right. It was like 5 for $5, and I would just load up 5.
Yeah.
And I'll get back to it. I was only doing 1 a day, but over the holiday here, I've been drinking 2 a day.
Well, the holiday. I mean, since Thanksgiving, I was saying to my friends today, the way I know I'm putting on weight is usually I can put my fingers in my abs and like kind of feel the crease. There's no crease. The crease is gone. So that's how I know I have to start cutting.
I feel pretty. I'm pretty level. I don't think I'm. I'm like a 5-pound swing either way. I don't change too much.
I usually stay between like 195 and 205. That's usually my swing. Right now I'm probably like 203. I would say I can guess. So I'm definitely over the twos.
I haven't.
I just have so much muscle.
I haven't been on a scale in a long time. I gotta say, but I'm probably in that 190 to 195 right now. But I know, like, every once in a while, I like to take on the challenge and say, hey, let me try to lose 10 pounds. Yeah. But I just haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a goal weight. I just know what I want to, like, I don't know if look like's the right word, but, like, I don't know if I have a set goal, but I'll know where that goal is once I reach it. And I think I could do it.
When you're in the Carolinas and it's just Mom and I now, that should help me kind of proportion me a little bit.
Yeah, that'll help.
You know what I mean? Because
plus, we work out more than most people do anyway, so I feel like that does help me maintain. Like, I had been doing the intermittent. Like, I don't eat till 2. I've kind of changed that a little bit. Yeah,
you eat pretty late that first.
I've been doing that since junior year of college, or sophomore year of college. And my body's just used to that. If I didn't do that, I'd probably be a pretty heavy person, I think.
Also, what helps for me is I have no sweets between Monday until Friday.
Must be nice. Must be nice to have that kind of control.
I don't. Yeah,
that's why I have to not give myself the option.
Right.
Like for me, that's my thing. If I can not give myself the option, I'm fine.
Well, and you can do that on your own. Here, you can't, right?
Because when nothing's in the house, I do that thing where you like open the cabinet, look, close it, and open it again, open this.
But here, there's always something. There's always something around. Because. As you know, when you like something, Mom buys it.
Yeah,
right.
That's why the hardest thing I'm gonna have to do to Mom when we're down there is when she's like, "Can I get you all this stuff to prepare you?"
Yeah,
I gotta push away.
Yeah,
I gotta call it.
I know Kenny's done that, and even Mike when we go to first.
Well, Mike's got so many problems.
Yeah, now he's. But even when like he's not, she gravitates to the sweets as much as, like, how many black and white cookies I've never seen so many black and white cookies. When Mike comes home, it's always black and white.
And Mike doesn't even eat them. I eat all of
them. I'm grossed out, but like that's. I've seen so many of those. I haven't had a black and white cookie in ages. She burnt me out on it. I get to a point where I can't eat it.
Dad, I was getting to the point with the. Do you remember when Mom used to get the Oreos, like the double stuffed Oreos, and they would come in a row? Dad, I was eating so much of them, you don't even taste them anymore. I got to a point where that's when I knew I was like, okay, this is a problem. I can't. That was kind of what stopped me from doing unnecessary sweets that I didn't even like.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you just
I got to that
motion.
point where I was, to your point, I was eating to eat. Because maybe it was
the motion, right?
Yeah.
And that's why, like, yesterday's a perfect example. If I have downtime, if I'm around this house doing nothing, I'm like, man, what's the next meal? What's in the cupboard?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Where when I'm active, man, I can go. Like today, all I had was a drink for lunch. Because I knew I was going to have it. So sometimes I just try to.
But by a drink, you mean like one of those protein things?
No, it was a Slim Fast.
Yeah, that's not a protein. Yeah. So those are designed to make it so that you're not hungry.
Right.
That's probably what I'm going to do with protein shakes.
Right.
I'm probably going to just do like the whey protein, and that's my lunch for a little bit.
Right.
Unless I like heavy lift it. But
it's different though. It's more of a challenge because when I'm around the house and just on a protein drink, I'm like, man, it's 3:00. Let me have a little trail mix or whatever. Whereas when I'm doing that and I'm out of the house doing something,
What do you do when you wake up, Dad? Do you eat? When you wake
up? I've been having just a cup of cappuccino.
Oh, okay.
But that's about it. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, Dad, we just did hour 20. Again, I know we could keep going, but it's already 11:30.
Okay.
So, and I know my father goes to bed at like 11.
12:30.
Right? Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, I always thought you went to bed like.
No, it's another thing. Your mother stays up late, so I stay up late. Yeah.
Well, next time we'll have to do it with Kenny. Like maybe I was thinking maybe I can bring. I got this set up so that I just have to bring that now, and maybe we could do like a Super Bowl watch together. If
whatever. I appreciate the opportunity. And
so what's real crazy is, as of January 1st, this will be 10 years of me doing YouTube.
Wow.
So I told you recently, and I never did a video. I just put out a video today because I came to the conclusion, like 10 years and not accomplishing certain milestones that most people would at this point, whether that's YouTube's fault or algorithms. I kind of made the decision that I have to kind of slow it down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, 10 years. Even then, we hit 1 million views recently, which is insane. But I mean, one of the things that I want to do is this podcast because, as I jokingly said at the beginning, I mean, you are kind of like the executive producer of all this, right? Through college, through all this. So I want to get on camera. I do have to thank you for allowing me to do this dream for 10 years that realistically, even though I made some money, it's something I am going to do for the rest of my life. Not at the same pace, obviously, but yeah, I'm just glad I had the opportunity to do it because of you.
Hey, it was an honor supporting you through this, right? And like I said, my parents gave me a lot of support on doing things, and I'm glad I could do the same for you, man. Love you. And,
love you too, Dad. This is the next big chapter. This is a big one.
I'm excited for you, and you know, obviously we'll talk a lot, and I'm excited to see what
I am going to miss this house though.
Down there.
This house,
you know,
I've come to see. I don't see it as that. I see it as I'm a little more sentimental in the sense of like I think of we're not going to be in this house much longer, to my understanding. Yeah. So it kind of hit me the other day where I was like, oh man, we've had some memories here in this area. So,
but you're gonna, you know, Mohegan was huge for me, right? I put 20 in my parents' house. And
you just sold that recently, yeah.
And it is, you realize it's about the people more than the home. You know,
yeah,
that's the thing. So it's been a great house. It was a great purchase. We're not out of here yet. I know it's, you know, destiny is going to take us out. It's natural. You know, a lot of people, though, you're going to meet in life, almost like my career, every few years they change homes. You know, you know, this house just checked a lot of boxes. You know, this helped me have that balance where it's situated. Right. Wasn't the perfect house, and your mother can tell you why. You know, it was good for me, maybe not as much for her. Yeah. But, you know, great place. No regrets being here and raising you guys.
Yeah, well,
thanks
again.
And, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Dad. Again, none of this is possible without you. So, guys, this is the last podcast officially in this house.
Nice.
And we'll do many more. We just got to figure out the logistics of that one. And
Sounds
hopefully
great.
We'll be back at some point for I want to do a Super Bowl one where we do a watch party with either Mr. Greta or Kenny, Mike, whoever's here. And yeah, so again, Dad, thank you. Love you so much.
Yeah,
both
love
you
you
and
too,
Mom.
man. Thanks for letting me close this out with you.
Yeah, this is a big one. People have been waiting for this one. So
I hope they're not too disappointed.
This was one of the better ones we've done. I was like, maybe Mom's a little. All right.
Love you, Dad.
All right.